Konnichiwa, pussygatos! It's time to head into space and take a look at one of the most mysterious settings in Mystara, the invisible moon of Myoshima. I'm going to cover this as best I can, as there's really only one real source dealing with the moon, and that's in Dragon Magazine 160, and everything else about the moon is just rehashing what the Voyage of the Princess arc already said in that article. But I'm up to the task, riding high on completing the Mystara Player's Guide, so let's just start talking about katana-carrying kitty cats. I'm Mr. Welch, and we are talking about the samurai jungle space cats of Myoshima in this week's Welcome to Mystara. I'm not kidding about Myoshima being largely unmentioned in Mystaran lore. The primary reference to the moon is in the character NeoGeo, a crew member on the Princess Arc that serves as Haldamar's bodyguard throughout most of the storyline. It's briefly mentioned in the almanacs, but they don't give any more information than the article. The Princess Arc comes across some Myoshiman Rakasta in the Savage Coast, but again, there's little information given that we don't already know. But here's what we do know. Myoshima is a small moon, barely 3,000 miles across. It has a magical field that renders it invisible to those outside its atmosphere. You have to know where it is to get there, unless you can somehow detect an invisible moon. The core is incredibly dense, so the gravity is close to Mystara's gravity despite its small size. The magical field also might affect the gravity coming out of the moon because it doesn't affect Mystara's tides. That's per Bruce, the Word of God. The moon might not be as big as the visible moon, but it would still cause havoc on the tides that would be impossible to miss, so it doesn't affect the tides because magic. In short, flying over Mystara is a small invisible moon with normal gravity that doesn't affect Mystara's tides. That's the physical aspects that we know of. The moon itself is heavily forested, mostly with rainforests and jungles across most of the moon, with some temperate forests near the polar regions. There's 3 large lakes, or inner seas, on the moon, so as a whole, the entire moon is quite humid and blanketed in foliage. It's tide-locked like our moon. It has no rotation of its own, so the same side is always facing Mystara. The primary means of transportation is either airship, which the moon has numerous of, winged saber-toothed tigers that serve as the primary steed for the moon's native species, a type of Rakasta or superior vision, and of course there's always some portals that were hinted at. There's 3 nations of Rakasta on Myoshima. The first is the Empire of Myoshima, which is very obviously Imperial Japan. It's the largest of the 3 nations. It's an expansionistic warmongering nation that has taken much of the land from its neighbors. This is the nation that the Princess Arc interacts with and is ruled over by an emperor who has divided his nation into smaller provinces that are ruled over by the provincial governors. The next largest nation is Rajasthan, which from the name suggests an Indian theme, though they aren't discussed at all outside of a single paragraph. The smallest of the nations is a collection of smaller city-states that have an Indonesian feel. Again, there's not much about the smallest nation, only that they're allies with Rajasthan for protection, but the 2 countries aren't above feuding with each other. Okay, there's no official map of Myoshima. It's not in the Dragon Magazine, it's not in any of the further supplements, so you can put anything where you need it to be. It seems that the only sentient race on the moon is Rakasta. Nothing else is even hinted at. It's odd that they've got the Indian culture represented in Myoshima, since it's also represented in Sind, making that culture the only one that I know of that's represented twice in the Mystaran equivalent, yet not linked to each other. The Indian culture in the Hollow World is linked to Sind, so that doesn't really count. The Myoshimans do make an appearance in a later Princess Arc storyline, where Haldamar has to win a chariot race against a Rakasta in a matter of honor, but the article doesn't explain where these Myoshimans came from. That raises the questions. How do the Myoshimans get to Mystara? I got 2 options, taking from 2 different modules. First, the Princess Arc suggests they have their own skyships, plus it's confirmed they ride the Flying Tigers for their warriors. Now, other options was hinted at in the Master of the Desert Nomad series, as there's portals that lead to Myoshima. These were mentioned as portals to the Moon Kingdom, and since the other moon is airless and all about the immortals, that leaves Myoshima. Now, this is pure speculation, because Desert Nomads was written when Myoshima wasn't a thing, but since the story elements fits the new narrative, just run with it. Now, if you're trying to fly to Myoshima, you're going to have a bad time, because it defies most divination magics. You have to know exactly where it is. That's why I suggest using the portals to get the players there. Then you can have lots of samurai adventures with your space cats. There's not much to talk about in Myoshima as far as canon. The Dragon 160 article gives us all the information there is to talk about, and it's only 2.5 pages long, with some of that being fluff connecting that article to the previous magazine article. We have the name of a single province, the 2 rival kingdoms, and that's it. If you want to get your players to adventure in the jungles of the Samurai Space Cats, I recommend using the portals suggested at Master of the Desert Nomads. If you want an intriguing foe to throw at your parties, have Samurai Rakasta attack out of nowhere. That makes a great adversary. When Mystara comes back, I do need to add this moon to the number of books that have to be written. This video is going to be one of the shortest ones I've made. I had the impression that there were more to Myoshima than just 2.5 pages, but my memory was wrong. There's a lot of fan-made stuff on Pandios about Myoshima, but you can pick and choose which version you want to use. I'm pushing ahead with the promotion campaigns for the Player's Guide. Reviews from the people that have looked at it have all been rave. All the issues with the printing were merely formatting stuff that was easily fixed. Hopefully I need to get some Twitch games started with the book to show people that demand for the setting is greater than what's expected. If anybody has an established stream channel or a Twitch channel they're willing to start up a campaign, let me know. So until next time, happy birthday, Winona!